Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you clicking on the video. Happy 4th of July. Obviously, once you check this out, it's either going to be 4th of July or you may check it out after. But anyway, happy 4th of July. Hopefully, you chill and you're safe. So, in this video, I do want to talk about the Celtics offseason. Free agency opened up, a lot of moves have happened. The Celtics have pretty much solidified what they're going to look like next year. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on that, as well as some other Celtics news that came out shortly after the parade that did kind of surprise me a little bit, but I think I kind of understand what's going on. So do all that, and then at the end, I'll let you know about their chances of going back to back. So obviously, it's a little early to really comment on that because the previous season that just ended, and next season doesn't start until October. So a lot of time can happen in between then, but at least for right now, I'll let you know my thoughts on their chances. So let's go ahead and get into the first story, which is about the fact that Wyc Grousbeck, who's the majority owner, along with like Pagliuca and a few others, putting the team up for sale. Now, this is going to take a few years. I believe it's like a 4-year process to finalize it. Well, first you have to find the buyer, but they're assuming that 4 years time that the transition from Grousbeck to a new majority owner will take place. Now that could be Pagliuca decides to become a majority owner, and it kind of stays the same because it does say like for the 4 years, Grousbeck's going to stay as the governor of the team, and who knows, maybe he takes on a minority part of the team, or we just get like a brand new ownership group. Which, if that does happen, I would love to see like a former Celtic or something get involved. But I mean, it's kind of early to really say much about this because we don't know any prospective buyers. We don't know, I guess, the value. I think the team's valued around $4 billion or so. So we don't know what the sale price is going to be. But it was just interesting, the timing of it. Grousbeck's been there for 22 seasons, I believe. Got the title in 08, just got this past title, and now putting the team up for sale. He's like mid-60s. Maybe he wants to get into some new ventures, or I don't know, maybe count his money and chill in the sunshine. So all that we'll probably get updates on in the coming weeks and months and years. Because like I said, it's supposed to take like 4 years or so to finalize everything once they find the buyer. But definitely was some Celtics news that did catch my attention. All right, so next we have Tatum and White both got paid. Tatum got his 5-year, $315 Supermax, and Derek White got like 4 and 123 or something like that. I'm not gonna sit here and criticize either move. Derek White, coming from San Antonio, struggled a little bit after that trade deadline and in that playoff run. But this past season, we kind of saw the greatness of Derek White. He's a guy who can hit clutch threes for this team. He plays great defense. He can facilitate, takes care of the ball. He, makes it easier on Tatum, Brown, and these other guys on the court. So his value was definitely there for the Celtics. Brad Stevens let us know all season a priority of his was to lock up Derek White. Well, they got the 4-year deal done with him. It just solidifies that he is one of the core members of this team, not only from this past championship, but just going forward. I mean, even the season before, losing to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, Derek White had that memorable shot. Was it Game 6 at the buzzer to lead to the Game 7 where they did lose after Tatum got hurt. But it just seems like Derek White's becoming more and more of a player that you have to notice now. And look, who knows? Maybe there's an all-star game in his future. He made all defensive, I believe, second team this past season. Would not be surprised if he's back on the all defensive team next year. So I'm happy for Derek White. Have no issues with it. And Tatum, look, you already know. Tatum and Brown to me have always been a pair. You need both of them. They both play well off of each other, especially now. Early on in their, partnership, maybe there was a little bit of struggles in trying to find out how to really work together. But I feel like this year, getting the title, they now know what it takes from each of them to make this team a championship contender. So after getting the first one, obviously they're going to want a second one. So I don't have any problems with it. Some people may look at it and say, oh, he has the richest contract in history. Why him? One, as we've seen in today's NBA, timing is everything. So that's part of the reason. And also, he is a champion. He is up there in top 10 conversations. I think I've seen a couple of lists on TV where they have him top 5. Don't know where you have him, but you cannot escape the fact that he is a great player. I know, once again, they made all this about his shooting and everything this past postseason, yet he still led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists. Just saying. But yeah, these are two things that need to be done. Got them done. Have no issues with any of it. Now, looking outside of just Tatum and White, the Holiday contract extension happened during the season. Brown got his money last season. Porzingis has another year on his deal. They re-signed Cornette. They re-signed Tillman. You got Pritchard still here. I believe they re-signed Hauser, or he signed like some qualifying offer or something like that. He'll be back. Basically, everybody's coming back except for like Brissett, who wasn't really a main rotation player, but he did have moments with the team where he gave them effective minutes off the bench. Mekhi Luke is a free agent. I'm not sure he's coming back. But in terms of like the core rotation, they're all back. So running it back is definitely in business for the Celtics. I don't have any problems with that. Because looking at the group, Pritchard's young, Hauser's young, Tatum and Brown are still young, White's young. I guess Horford's a vet. Porzingis isn't even that old. And it's like they went 64-18, ran through the playoffs. Why not bring them back? Now, if they were an older group, an older core, then yeah, I probably would have an issue with it. But with this team being as young as they are, seems like this made the most logical sense. Then you're throwing in the draft picks, Shireman from Creighton, who looks like a guy who can, knock down the three, can create a little bit for himself. I mean, the pick makes sense to me. Then you got, was it Anton out of his name, just Watson. That's his name. Yeah. Anton Watson, who's a bit of a big that can shoot it a little bit. I know Brad Stevens said that he feels like, and the Celtics feel like, he has a better shot than, like, it seems like on tape in terms of Watson's confidence in it. And we know how Mazzulla's system works. He loves his bigs that can stretch the floor. So don't be surprised to see Watson maybe use like the summer league or something to try to display the shot. I would be interested to see like how he plays. So yeah, the draft picks, I don't have any issue with. Plus, they're not going to be main rotation players this upcoming season anyway. So running it back, I'm perfectly okay with the plan. We'll see how it works out. So yes, Celtics current champions. Obviously, the talk right after was, can they go back to back? I guess they become like a new age dynasty or whatever. It's tough. When's the last time we saw a repeat champ in the NBA? Been a while. It's always difficult having that long season, winning the first title, going right back. to try to pull out another long season and get the title at the end of the rainbow. I'm not going to count them out because of how good this group was this past season. But obviously, there could be, things outside of your control that can happen that can derail it, obviously. But looking at the team currently as they are, I think their chances are really good. Now, looking at the competition that's there in the East, you're expecting a healthy Giannis from Milwaukee, so Milwaukee will be tougher. You saw what the Knicks did bringing in Bridges. I feel like with the Knicks, the Hartenstein loss is a bigger deal than probably even bringing in Bridges. But look, they wanted another wing defender to combat the Celtics with Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White. I understand that. But at the expense of Hartenstein, I don't know how much of a net gain that is for the Knicks. I do think they are better, but I don't know if it's enough to close the gap to the point where they would become like the favorites or anything like that, which I don't think they are. I feel like the Celtics are the favorites to come out of the East again, but you still got to notice them because they had a good season this past year. I just need to see, minus Hartenstein, what it looks like in terms of Bridges. I guess a healthy Randall season. We'll have to see how that works with those two coming back in. The Sixers go and get Paul George. I think it's arguable that the Sixers might be the biggest roadblock for a Celtics repeat, only because Paul George is a two-way player. Maxi's continuing to develop. Hopefully, as a Sixers fan with Nick Nurse there, they don't stifle Maxi now because of Paul George. I think if they do that, that'd be a mistake. I feel like there is a world where, offensively, Maxi's your number one focus while George and Embiid play off of them. But we'll have to see how that looks. And obviously, Embiid is comfortable as being the team's number one. He's the MVP on the team. So we'll see what Nick Nurse does with them. And with the Sixers, obviously, is going to be dependent on Embiid's health, which has always been an issue throughout his career. And even Paul George, who, even though he played 75 games last season, previous 2 or 3, he's had some injuries that he dealt with, and he's a little bit older now. But I do think George fits along and beat Maxey better than Harden does. So, yeah, you understand why the Sixers did that. The team I have my eye on is Orlando. The biggest question with them is going to be the young players there, their development, them growing together. Understand that they did make the playoffs this past season, so they've gotten a little bit of experience. Now, next season, try to build off of that, be more competitive come the end of the year, maybe make a splash or two in the postseason. I could see it with the talent that they have there. It's just whether or not they grow up and develop fast enough to keep up with more veteran teams like the Knicks and the Sixers and the Bucks. I mean, Cleveland re-signs Donovan Mitchell, so they're basically running it back themselves. I don't know if I'm as high on them as I once was because I've seen it a little bit now, and I feel like now I don't think that they are legitimately standing in the way of the Celtics, but you never know, right? The East, though some are calling it weak, I would more so say that it is competitive after the Celtics to see who can kind of separate from the rest of the group. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Celtics go into next year, because like I said, they just had a long season. It's going to put a lot on their body, but they're still very young outside of Horford, obviously. The target is even bigger on their back even though it was on their back this past season, because a lot of the players talked about Banner 18 was the mission. They got it done. Now, Celtics fans, because we know this is a fan base in Boston that has seen a lot of titles in the past, 15, 20 years now. So the expectation is there, now that they've reached the mountaintop, to kind of stay there. So with all that going into next year, I feel like I don't doubt this team being able to deal with it, but it's still something to deal with. Mazzulla, he had a great season. I feel like he'll be probably even better off next year as a head coach. I think there's reports about Sam Cassell being elevated to a more prominent role on the bench, which I'm assuming is like lead assistant. So happy for him. So yeah, Brad Stevens, executive of the year. I can't really do this video without talking about him. He had a great year. He looks like he's off to another great year, bringing everybody back. And I believe I heard that they stayed out of the second apron because they kind of staggered the contracts a little bit. I'd probably have to look more at the contract parameters and everything like that. But if that's true, then Brad Stevens is really working his magic once again. But that's all I got for you on the Celtics. Appreciate you tuning into the video. If you enjoyed it, appreciate that. Especially if you made it all the way through. Obviously, appreciate you for that. Feel free, give it a like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. You already know what to do. Like I said, greatly appreciate you once again. Happy 4th of July. Be safe. Fireworks, going to a party or something, grilling out. Just be safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Bye.